Hello and welcome to RBCM at Home. My name is Kim Goff and I'm a learning program developer at the Royal BC Museum. Today I'm talking with Provincial Carillonneur Rosemary Laing, and we're going to be talking about the Carillon and our caroling event. But first I'd like to acknowledge that I'm at the museum today, and the museum and my home are located on the traditional territories of the Songhees and the Esquimalt First Nations, the Lekwungen speaking people. And I'd like to extend my appreciation for the opportunity to live and to learn on this land. Today, there's a picture of the Carillon if you've never seen it before. And it's on the corner of Belleville Street and Government. And today, Rosemary's going to tell us a little more about it, including some of the worst and the best parts about her job. But the Netherlands Centennial Carillon was a gift from British Columbia's Dutch community in honor of Canada's 100th birthday in 1967. It is housed at the top of a tower, which stands 27 meters or 90 feet high. And the Carillon is one of the largest in Canada, not just by height, but by the number of bells. It has 62 bells in it. Herman Bergink, who is pictured here, was the first provincial carillonneur, and today it is Rosemary Laing. To play this instrument, the carillonneur has to climb 75 steps up a spiral staircase, and then, if that's not enough, there's a 10-step ladder at the top, which you crawl up through, go through a little porthole. And inside is the instrument that you see here in the picture. That is called a clavier. Did I say it right, Rosemary? Clavier. There's a clavier, and it's got
a clavier.
And it's got these batons that you hit with your fists, and you'll see also on the bottom a lot of pedals.
Yeah.
And that's how the bells get rung in order to play a song. In 2007, I hosted the first Carillon with the Carillon public event. The idea was suggested by one of the staff members who was working in marketing and communications. Sue suggested the title. She liked it and I loved it, so we went with it. And Rosemary, at those events, Rosemary comes and plays the Carillon live. And our guest choir, the Newcomb Singers, and their conductor, Peter Dent, who are pictured here, they all lead us in singing along. So the Carillon's playing the song and we sing with the bells. I don't think anybody else does it. It's a pretty unique holiday event. We get young and old, locals, tourists, even pets have come along to these events. And we've sung in the rain, in the snow, in the cold, and sometimes pretty nice weather too. So we're lucky that way. Now this year, we cannot have the Carol Along event, but I wanted to mark the occasion and have invited Rosemary to be here today as my special guest. Here's Rosemary. Hi, Rosemary.
Hi.
So Rosemary, first of all, how did you get involved? Well, first of all, I guess, really, when did you start playing music?
I started actually when I was a child, and I played by ear, and I just my dad had brought home a little Hammond organ, and I must have been 9 years old. He brought the Hammond organ home, and for some reason I just took to it. I didn't know what the names of the notes were. I had no idea, but for some reason I could just play both hands at the same time. I didn't really quite understand how I could do that, but so it was very early on. I knew I was going to be a musician. And then from there, I graduated from the Hammond organ to taking lessons on a big giant pipe organ in a church. And I just fell in love with the pipe organ. And there's just nothing compared to being, say, 12 or 13 years old, sitting at this monstrous instrument, pulling out all the stops and just hitting all these notes, and you can just hear it reverberating throughout the whole church. I could feel the pedals vibrating. I could feel the keyboard vibrating. It was just, I was hooked on that. I mean, that there was no turning back from that. I mean, I wasn't even tall enough to reach the pedals, but who needs pedals? I finally kind of grew into the instrument, and I've been playing ever since. And so the organ was my first instrument, and then of course I took up the piano as well. And later on, much later on, I took up the carillon, and that's a funny story in itself.
Oh yeah, you have to tell, because how does, first of all, many people probably have never, well, may not know what a carillon is. If you're in Victoria, you're probably lucky enough to have seen and heard the carillon. Maybe let's start for, do you know much about the history of the carillon or how it became?
Yeah, well, Herman Berging, who was the original Carillonneur here in Victoria, he's the one who he came from the Netherlands, and of course he was a Carillonneur in the Netherlands, and he came here and there was no carillon, so he decided he was going to make one. So he went all around British Columbia and got donations from the Dutch community, and the carillon was built. And so I mean, it's a real landmark now, but if it weren't for Herman Berging, there would be no carillon in Victoria. So, we owe it to him.
And that was 51 years ago or so, 51, 52
yeah, I
years
guess,
ago?
yeah, about 51 years ago. So, so the carillon's been here ever since, and I haven't played it in a while. I miss it, but
Well, let's talk about that first time you played it. So you're an organist and a piano player and you're
yeah,
teaching music,
yes.
and how did you get to first play the carillon?
Well, it had to be fate. It just had to be. We moved here from another city in British Columbia, and I joined the Royal Canadian College of Organists here in Victoria, and this would have been like 1984ish, 1984. So I joined the Royal Canadian College of Organists, and I figured I'll make some friends and meet some new colleagues, and they had a luncheon. The first event I attended was a luncheon for the organists, and this gentleman sat beside me, a very distinguished gentleman, and he started talking to me. He was Dutch, and he kept going on about the carillon this, the carillon that. I'm like, I don't even know what he's talking about, but he kept going on about it, and he kept saying, "You must come up the tower. You must come up the tower." I'm like, I don't know. Okay, anyway, we'll just we'll just leave it for now. Anyway, so uh, eventually he started phoning me on a regular basis. "You must come up the tower. You must come up the tower." Like, I don't even know where the tower is. I don't know what it is. So because he was very persistent, I one day I just said, "Okay, let's just do this and get it over with." And he was playing every Sunday at 3 o'clock. So he said, okay, so he says, "Next Sunday, meet me at the base of the tower at 20 minutes to 3, and then we'll go from there." So I get there. I had an address. Okay, I had an address, and I get there. It's like, "Oh no, you want me to go up there?" I'm like, "No, I can't do that." But anyways, I figured, okay, well, I'll just do it. I can't back out now. It wouldn't be polite. So part of the way up the tower, I'm thinking, I just don't know. I don't know why I'm doing this. And as we got further up the tower, I'm like white knuckles all the way up that on the railing there. I'm like, and then we get halfway up, I can see like the panoramic view of the Empress Hotel, the Inner Harbor, the Parliament buildings, the museum. I'm like, wow, I'm that high up compared to the museum. Whoa. So I'm like, I can't back down now. I have to keep going. So I get up there and I'm like, okay, now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get out of this tower. But then he started playing, and I just fell in love with the sound of the bells. It was just so beautiful to me. And just the way he played it was just something I had never ever seen in my life. Here he is pounding with fists and feet, and I'm like, okay, well, that's just a crazy enough instrument that I probably should learn how to play it. But I had to get over my fear of going up the tower, and fortunately I didn't have to go up there for a while, because when you take lessons, they're not up in the tower, because that would be an unforgiving
I was going to say
place.
It's really loud. So if you were just learning how to use it, how do you practice?
Well, Herman had he had a practice instrument in his basement. So I had to always get a babysitter. My kids were small then. I always had to get a babysitter and go to Herman's house, drive over there. And I had a key to his basement, go in, let myself in. And and play the practice instrument. And it was connected to tone bars, so it kind of sounded like a carillon, but kind of not. It wasn't real bells, but the tone bars, it kind of sounded like a xylophone maybe. So I got kind of the full effect there. It wasn't weighted the same as what it would be in the tower, because in the tower, each baton, each note is connected to a clapper up in the belfry, and there are light ones and heavy ones, but the practice instrument, you don't get that feel of weight. So everything felt just the same. And then you get up to the tower and it's like, whoa, that feels really different. It sounds different too.
So if people have heard our carillon, right now there's an automated player, and it plays on the hour. It'll play the Westminster chimes and then a little song. And now that it's December 1st, it should be playing Christmas music. But when you hear it, it's all loud and really one level sound, just loud. But when you hear Rosemary play, and Rosemary has played in the summers traditionally on Sundays, when you hear Rosemary or Carillonneur play, there's suddenly so much more nuance to the music. There's more tones. It can be quiet, it can be loud, it can be delicate, which seems surprising for such a big instrument. And that, you say, Rosemary, is just learning about, it's learning about the weight of the bells themselves, and it's how the sort of touch that you can bring to that.
Yes. So that's the tricky part, because it's easy, well, maybe not easy for everybody, but for a musician, you see it laid out and it makes total sense. Here's C sharp, D sharp, E, it's laid out like a piano keyboard. But each note, because they're all different weights, you have to learn how hard or light to strike each baton, because the lower end of the carillon is very heavy. And so if you hit those notes too lightly, they're not going to make a sound. If you hit them too heavy, it's going to go bong, and the room will shake. And so as you get higher up, higher up on the keyboard, going to the right, the bells are lighter. And so you need to know how to hit with one hand down on the lower level, and then how to strike with the other hand on an upper level, so it's something's not too loud and something else is not too soft. And then there are the pedals in the feet, and the lower end of the carillon can be also played with the feet. So and of course, being an organist, that part's that works out well for me. I'm used to using 2 feet on the organ. And so when I go to the carillon, the only difference is that the notes are further to the left, or they're further apart, that sort of thing. But other than that, I have to know not to hit that low C, the board on the heaviest note. I have to know not to go, bong. I have to have some delicacy with it,
It's appreciated. So I do have a video. Jenny's just reminded me, she's put up the link here. I have a video of you playing the carillon that I'm going to share, but I won't share the volume. So Rosemary, you can maybe speak over top of it for us. Okay. I'm just going to hit mute, and people can see these clappers and bells. So what are those called?
Okay, those are the wires, and each one of those wires is connected to a clapper up in the belfry, and the clapper is inside of a bell. So here you can see I'm hitting the wooden batons, and sometimes I hit with my fist, and sometimes if I'm going to play 2 notes at one time, then I can spread my fingers out and play that way as if it were a piano keyboard. But you can see on the left there, those are the lowest bells. So those, my hands aren't hitting some of those.
Oh yeah, it just went down. I saw.
Yeah, they look like they're going down on their own, but that's actually my feet playing those notes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the pedals are connected to those wires as well. And so as you go up, so we're going up towards the ceiling, and that's where the wires go through that opening up into the belfry, where the bells are. So I never really touch the bells. I don't see them. I only feel them and hear them. So yeah, it's a bit of a physical workout,
Yeah, absolutely. It must be tiring, not only climbing up,
Well,
but
yeah,
playing the
well,
instrument.
I think for me, the climbing up and going back down is the most strenuous of the whole exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. The playing, once I get going, it's just the momentum takes it away. So.
And it's off. And that's a real treat, actually having video of you up in the tower, because folks
Yeah,
aren't allowed to go up there. So
that's
that's
right.
really the sort of the only way to see it happen,
Yes, yes,
and to know what that looks like from
yes,
that space.
yes.
Now, Rosemary, you have the official title of being the Provincial Carillonneur.
Mhm.
Is there a Provincial Carillonneur for every province in Canada?
I don't know. I don't think they have titles like that. I think that's just, BC. There in Ottawa, there's the Dominion Carillonneur, who's considered, the Carillonneur for Canada. And so that's Dr. Andrew McCready, and she plays, the Peace Tower Carillon. But there are other carillons. Many of them in Canada are concentrated in Ontario. Some of them are in churches. Some of them are. There's one at the University of Toronto, and then there are a couple of them in Quebec. The big one in Quebec is St. Joseph's Oratory in Montreal. And that carillon right now is in storage because they're building a new tower. So that's a happy event. So yeah, I think BC is the only place where there's the provincial title added to it.
And so to get that title, how did that happen? Did you have to take a test or?
Yeah. Well, many years of lessons with Herman, and I logged many miles climbing up the tower, and playing. So after a number of years, the Carillon used to be under the auspices of the provincial government,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so at a certain point, they decided that I needed some qualifications, and so they sent me to do the advancement recital with the Guild of Carillonneurs in North America. So I had to prepare for that, and that was very rigorous because I had to send in an audition tape, and the audition I had to pass the audition, and then once I passed the audition, I had to go to the University of Kansas and play my advancement recital, and happily I passed. And that was a number of years ago. That was in, I'd say, maybe 1996, 97, somewhere around in there. So now I do have the distinction of being a carillonneur, a member of the Guild of Carillonneurs in North America. So yeah, so I had to have the qualifications. I got the qualifications, and I've been doing it ever since. So
well, yeah, we're very lucky to have you.
Well, thank you.
It's such a delight to hear the carillon, and I have missed the live concerts this year. And
yes.
Clearly we can't have you up there today, but Rosemary is at her piano, you may have noticed, and she's going to play a couple of carols for us today. Now, we were hoping to have the Newcomb Singers here, and maybe they could help us sing along, but the Newcomb Singer, I do have a video I might share of them singing, so you get a sense of what that sounds like when you're here for a live event. Let me just get that where I need it. I'm gonna pop it over here. So much going on. I'm gonna share my screen again. Should be that one. This time I'll share the sound. And let's see if that's gonna work. Now, if that were a live concert, when the conductor looks at the accompanist, he's trying to make this eye contact and say, "Slow down" or "Speed up." But you're 90 feet above them, you can't hear them at all.
It's like, follow my lead, or I'm taking off without you. I cannot hear anybody. I have no idea whether they're hearing me or I'm hearing them. Like I don't know what's going on. So I just have to go. I just have to do it and hope for the best.
And our early years, there was definitely more trial and error, but there's been lots of great, lovely moments to sing along with those bells, and you could hear the bells there. So Rosemary is at her piano, and she's going to play a couple of carols for us. I'm going to mute myself, so you won't hear me singing, but I'm going to sing. And so you can sing and join us too. We're going to put the words in the chat. So if you're watching here on Zoom, just open up that chat window and you'll see the words. And I believe we're also going to post them on the chat on Facebook so that you can see them there. And Rosemary, over to you for Deck the Halls.
All right, I'm going to sing just because. All right, so here we go.
La 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 la. I'm going to have a little sip now of my hot chocolate. So usually at the Carol Along event, it's usually the first Sunday in December, and we have hot chocolate and free cookies. And everybody usually is enjoying something to keep their hands warm and to keep their throats ready to go. Oh yeah, and Heather, who's watching here on Zoom, reminds me, we also put out some dog biscuits. So when those four-legged friends come along, they get a treat too. So we have one more carol you're going to play for us, and it's, as we learned earlier, your favorite, one of your favorite carols, not your favorite, but one of your favorites, Jingle Bells. Okay, so we put those lyrics up in the chat window again, and they will be there on Facebook. Hope you're going to sing loud, everybody.
All right, well, here we go. So I'll give you a little bit of an introduction. All right, so.
Such a cheery song.
Yes.
I enjoyed that very much. Thank you, Rosemary.
All right.
Oh, I did say I was going to ask you before about the best part of your job as a provincial carillonneur. What is the best part?
Well, I think the best part is knowing that that the bells are reaching out and touching people. They're hearing them, they're hearing the bells as they walk by. And also as people are getting off the ferry, the Coho ferry, you know, that greets them in the inner harbor. It's like, hey, hi, you're here, sort of thing. So yeah.
I've been out walking, even and like walking down the causeway by the inner harbor, and it was just the automated bells, but they started playing. And I remember this clearly, this mother, adult and a child, and they just stopped and smiled at each other. They were so delighted to hear, and they started singing. And the song was "You Are My Sunshine." And I thought, I just love this carillon. I mean, if it causes spontaneous moments of singing on the street, then you've got to like it.
Yeah. Well, and then one time also, I was up playing my usual Sunday recital, and it was a rainy day. So I decided I'm going to play Singing in the Rain. And I looked down, and I can't see immediately below the tower, but I can see across the street, the sidewalk, around the Parliament buildings. Mm-hmm. People were twirling their umbrellas and dancing. It just so touched my heart. I mean, that was just such a precious moment to me.
I love it. Oh, that's really wonderful. And what about the worst part of your job? What's something about playing the carillon that's maybe not your favorite?
I don't think there's a worst part. I just love it. Sometimes it's hard if it's a really rainy, blustery sort of day. Sometimes it's hard climbing the tower if there is a lot of wind, but it's just like, okay, well, I'm here to do this, and I'm going to do it no matter what. So I don't think there is a worst part of the job at all.
But if we could put in an elevator or a lift, maybe that would make it a little bit better.
Yeah, it might, yeah. But then I might be scared of the elevator. I don't know. I trust my legs. I don't know if I trust elevators.
Well, good point. Well, Rosemary, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us a feeling of that beautiful event that we're all missing right now. But it was lovely. And I want to thank everyone for joining us here for RBCM at Home. And I hope you'll join us again. Next week, it's Tuesday, December 8th. I'm going to be speaking with the Curator of History, Dr. Lorne Hammond, and he's going to talk about what Christmas was like here in Victoria during Emily Carr's lifetime. So we do have our feature exhibition, Emily Carr Fresh Seeing, on right now. So join us to learn more about that. And again, thanks everyone. We hope you'll come and join us again. And until then, take care of yourselves and take care of one another. Bye-bye.